Since it first made its debut on the Discovery Channel in 2005, Deadliest Catch has been one of the network's most popular reality TV shows. The series covers the incredibly tough and dangerous life on board crab fishing vessels, showing how some of the most popular seafood in the world is taken from the ocean to the dinner table. Some of the most tragic details about the show have played out behind the scenes, but plenty of grueling events have been captured on camera. Of all the craziness, these are some of the most shocking moments on Deadliest Catch. Man overboard on the Summer Bay. Of all the things that could possibly go wrong on Deadliest Catch, going overboard is definitely near the top of the list. Not only is there a risk of getting crushed by the boat, but drowning, getting attacked by animals, and succumbing to hypothermia are all significant possibilities. That nearly happens to Greenhorn Spencer Moore on the Summer Bay during the appropriately titled Season 14 episode, Greenhorn Overboard. Moore and the crew are working to pull in some buoys during a severe storm when one of them pulls Moore overboard and into the Bering Sea. The crew immediately react, shouting, "Man overboard!" to alert Captain Wild Bill Wachowski of what is going on as they grab the life preserver ring and throw it to Moore in the ocean. Miraculously, the crew is able to pull Moore on board and save his life, but he spends several moments in the freezing waters as they struggle to pull him up. After getting him on the deck, Moore lies motionless for several moments. But eventually he is able to stand up and make his way inside. He profusely thanks his shipmates for saving his life and seems to be physically okay. It's hard to imagine just how terrifying a moment like that would be, and Moore is incredibly lucky his crewmates were able to act so quickly and efficiently. Or else this could have been a much more tragic story. The Wizard crashes into another boat. Even though the Bering Sea is massive, most crab fishing vessels find themselves alone for the most part when out fishing. Occasionally, ships will see rival fishermen or other vessels in the same area, but that's definitely not the norm. That made the Season 17 Deadliest Catch collision during episode Russian Dragger especially distressing and alarming when it occurred. Keith Colborne's ship, the Wizard, is steaming through the sea when suddenly another boat cuts in front of them. Unable to stop the Wizard or maneuver out of the way, Colborne starts frantically screaming over the radio at the other ship to move. But to no avail, the Wizard plows into the other boat at almost full steam, risking the lives of the crews on both ships. The Wizard's anchor is completely crumpled and smashed from the impact, and Colborne and the crew are worried the ship might have structural damage too. For a few brief moments, the Wizard stands paralyzed in the sea, unable to move out of fear of causing even more damage. Fortunately, the crew determines that the ship is okay structurally, and the impact was largely absorbed by the anchor. Both ships sail away from the incident in the end, but things could have turned out much worse. The Summer Bay takes on some rough waters. Sometimes, the hardest part about crab fishing isn't catching the actual crustaceans themselves. The incredibly rough waters of the Bering Sea make everything challenging, and in some cases that even extends to the harbors of the canneries the crabbers deliver their product to. During the Deadliest Catch Season 17 episode The Ultimate Price, Captain Wild Bill Wachowski and his crew on the Summer Bay have to deal with one of the worst harbors in the entire sea. It is near the end of the season, and the cannery is one of the few still open, but it is notorious for having an incredibly dangerous harbor. The waves are known for being big and gnarly, and this time, they just about take the Summer Bay to the bottom of the sea. Wachowski is trying to maneuver the Summer Bay into port, but he gets caught in the surf zone, and the massive swells keep turning his boat around, and there are huge waves crashing on the deck, prompting Wachowski to call his crew inside. At multiple points, the Summer Bay is almost completely submerged underwater, and one superwave just about flips the vessel upside down. The ship is almost completely sideways, and water even pours into the cockpit. Wachowski remarks that it was one of the closest calls of his career, and even the camera crew starts profusely thanking him for saving their lives with his excellent piloting skills. It was a harrowing ending to a season that had already seen tragedy strike the crew of the Summer Bay. The ship's deck boss, Nick McGlashan, died in December 2020 at the age of 33. What does a werewolf YouTuber say at the end of the videos? Don't forget to like and subscribe. I know it's a bad joke, but still, you can like and subscribe. Rescue from the Patricia Lee. Impact severely injures him, hurting his back and putting him in immense pain. Worse yet, the Patricia Lee is very far at sea and out of the Coast Guard's 100-mile rescue zone. To save Katungan's life, Captain Rip Carlton has to race through an extreme storm to get to the outer edge of the rescue zone so the Coast Guard can pick him up. Once the medevac team safely makes it aboard, they then have to deal with the delicate issue of Katungan's back, which they cannot risk abruptly moving. When he's finally secured, the Coast Guard is able to lift Katungan off Patricia Lee in the middle of a terrible storm. Reportedly, Katungan survives his injuries, though his career as a crabber might be over. Mandy's accident. Though she's born and bred Hansen, Mandy Hansen is still a new kid on the block amongst the Deadliest Catch captains. Starting her time on the show with a cameo at 13 years old, it wasn't until 2014 that she became a regular cast member. Just like her dad, she's able to take life on the ocean waves in stride as she shares captaining duties aboard the FV Northwestern. In the unluckiest of situations, it was when Hansen was working the vessel alone that disaster chose to strike. During a Season 15 episode, the boat crew warned that a hook had worked loose while the Northwestern was traveling too quickly to fix it. A few moments later, the hook flew off its rope toward those on board, with the potential to do some fatal damage. Within seconds, Hansen's face turned white as a ghost. It's not surprising given that she's rarely seen to be captaining on her own, but also minutes before, deckhands had expressed their concerns on camera about her captaining by herself. Luckily, nobody was hurt, but the accident certainly set pulses racing. When Sig comes back from his break, there's a stern lecture, which leaves the daughter a completely different kind of terrified. Sig Hansen's heart attack. For many crab fishermen, the season does not end until they can finally return to their home and get a good night's sleep in their own bed. And as Deadliest Catch star Sig Hansen showed in Season 12's finale, The Widowmaker, even heading back to port can be deadly. During the finale, Hansen and Northwestern are heading back to the end of their season when Hansen starts to experience serious chest and arm pains. He's unsure of exactly what is going on and even says, "I'm not dying," as the camera crew starts to notice he is experiencing discomfort. Yet, as it turns out, Hansen is experiencing a potentially fatal heart attack. He is immediately rushed to the hospital when Northwestern makes it to port, where his doctor reveals the terrifying truth. Hansen did not experience just any heart attack, but one of the most life-threatening possible, a Widowmaker. The Widowmaker is so called because of its potential to become fatal extremely quickly, as 50% of the heart's blood supply is immediately compromised. Hansen was incredibly lucky that his heart attack happened at the end of the season when he was headed to port, where things could have turned out much worse. He looks to be in obvious pain during the interview, and the doctor makes it clear how close he came to dying. So that was all for today's video. We hope you liked the video. If you do, please subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you next time.